there, comic friends. I'm Travis, and it's Talking Comics. We're going to talk some comics. These are comics for May 28th, I believe, a couple weeks ago. So I haven't been around for a couple months. Not because I haven't really wanted to. It's just been serious chaos with getting my comic books. I have my comic books mailed to me. There were issues on the shipper's end. There were issues with the shipper themselves. I've been way behind on comics, and it just felt kind of weird to jump on and talk about comics that were a month old, basically. So I am largely caught up. So we're going to talk this week of books. In no particular order. We'll see how I talk about some of them. I have feelings about some of them. Current climate in the if you're not from America, current climate in America is pretty tense in a lot of places right now. And some of these books are, I feel like, either commentary on what's going on right now, basic case of how humanity is, or it's tying into the current administration, and I'm marginally uncomfortable with that. And we'll talk about that when I get to that. So let's jump right into talking books. First off, we're going to talk, we're taking everyone down with us. This is issue number 3. It's sad that I haven't been on to talk about this book all the way along. It is absolutely amazing. It's like one of my favorite reads when it comes out. So this is written by Rosenberg, which is part of the team, along with Tyler Boss, who do What's the Furthest Place from Here? Love these giant long titles. At any rate, and then art by Landy. I think it's Jason Wordie does colors on it. Let's see here. Yes, Jason Wordie does colors, and Hassan Asmet, and I can't say the rest of his last name. You think I would know because I've read a ton of his work. Anyway, so issue 3 of this book that seems to be, it's about a daughter of what seems to be a supervillain who had gone into hiding. The island that they're hiding on gets found out, gets attacked by some coked up sleazy super agent that works for Great Britain. Attacks the place, actually ends up killing Super Dad, but Super Dad transfers himself into a robot, and people don't realize that. No one realizes that. It's pretty obvious to us, the reader, but no one else is clued in on that. So it is interesting from that perspective of it. The daughter is quite the character. She's seeming to be more than what maybe she is. This issue is the issue that really starts to kind of get leveled, because she's kind of like, I don't understand how I know all this stuff. I mean, she picks up a random assault rifle from some goons that attack them, and she can tell you how many rounds per minute it fires and everything else about it and stuff. But her character is just a riot. Her dealing with stuff. She basically wants to go in, ham fist, and wreck everything. And of course, the robot dad wants to protect his daughter from all of this stuff. And so you got this menagerie of characters. There's a whole kind of league of supervillains who were voting whether or not they should help this guy out or not, and they vote not to. But one of them goes. This pirate type guy here goes and to attempt to rescue them, and instead captures the daughter because he really wasn't there to rescue them, maybe kind of thing. But all kinds of craziness ensues. The art is really, really strong in it. There's, like I said, there's just a level of comedy that goes along with the seriousness of what's happening that just makes it really cool, a lot of fun, gives you some thought. Yeah, see, here's the crew of supervillains over here that they're talking to. And one of them has done a no-no. They vote together on doing things or not doing things, and then when they don't, then it becomes a problem. So, but yeah, it's all kinds of nutty, and just like I said, I'm not talking well about it to make you want to buy it, but you should get it. If you aren't getting it, you definitely should get it. It's primo comic. It's primo comic. Yeah, good stuff. Next up, let's talk Crush Depth. This is from Mad Cave, issue number 3. This has been okay. We're basically on a submarine. It's sometime in the future. I can't remember the exact dates. Basically, the world above is unlivable. There's basically not hardly anything left of humanity, it seems like. There's this crew on this nuclear submarine with all the issues that you would have living under sea for forever, are constantly kind of being worked on. They get an emergency signal they come across. It seems to be a new one. They think they found another submarine. Ends up being kind of a botch. They go out to try and check it out. Seems weird. They come across something. They're not sure what it is. It basically ends up being alien life form or something like that is now grotesquely taking over the ship. So horror underwater, stuck on a submarine. There are elements of it that are okay, and I'm not. It's not terrible. It's not real high up on my list. Right now, I seem to be reading a ton of horror books. I was just talking with my other half about the fact that, man, they need to put out more science fiction books, or people are just going to think I'm just a horror reader. There's just a lot of horror books out right now. Everybody's doing one, it seems. And whereas I'm not a huge, go watch horror movies kind of stuff, I do enjoy the creepy comic book, I guess. As long as it's not just hack and slash. That has never been my thing, and I come from the era of hack and slash. Anyway, so yeah, Crushed Out. Issue number 1 of The Pale Knight, another Mad Cave. I picked this up. I love the cover. The art looked cool on it when I was going through it. And it's written by Peter Milligan, and I basically try anything that Peter's doing unless it was Deadpool, which I would not check out. Art by Val Rodriguez, Chris Peter, David Sharp are the who's credited on the cover. This is set during one of the Crusades. Our Pale Knight, and he gets referred to as the Pale Knight, part of his title. He's on his way home from a crusade. The plague has hit and is wiping out England. He's trying to ride in front of it to find his family. They show a little bit of conflict with him and another knight. So we kind of got 2 stories going. We got the Pale Knight who finds his family. Wife is okay. Son is stricken with the plague, and he is begging for death to take him and not his son. And death shows up. He's going to strike a deal with him. He's got X amount of time to take care of something. We'll see where that goes. The other part of the story is this other knight who his answer to the plague is he has kidnapped what he considers a Jewish wizard, because he knows those Jews have all this sneaky stuff. They're the ones that cause this kind of stuff. So he's the one that's going to come with the cure. We get a brief moment of that Jewish man talking to his cat, his pet cat, about the fact that this guy's nuts. He's just going to make up something that tastes really bad and smells really bad because this guy will think it's medicine, that it's magic, and that'll keep him alive and off the hook. The art in it is really cool. The art is not this painted cover like this, but it is fairly close. It feels historic. It feels like kind of Prince Valiant historic, kind of illustrated, and so I like I like that. It works. It works well for the story and the setting. I think it's a double page spread kind of a deal. Anyway, that's our other. All right there. So yeah, I liked the first issue. It wasn't anything deep. It was kind of a, you could see it. You could see where it was going. But I'm interested to see going ahead. He needs to take care of some business for Death, and then that's going to save his son. So we'll see where that story takes us. I think this is like 4 or 5 issues. Not a huge commitment. So we'll be checking it out. See where it goes. So this is issue 3 of Bitterroot. The next movement as the Bitterroot stories continue. I really like this story. I like the setting. I like the world. Super into Green's artwork. What you see on the covers, what you get inside, it's just cool. He has a distinct style, but he also gives it a vibe of the era that's in. We're in the 60s. We got the Freedom Riders. And so our characters are in the South. Supposedly all the demons that they dealt with in the prior volumes of this, of Bitterroot, they had thought they had taken care of. They're clearly on the rise here in the South in Mississippi. They had done some stuff in Alabama, and some stuff in Alabama went really, really bad. Trying to do stuff in Mississippi. They have the family is sanctioned by the president, but basically the rest of the government agents, the FBI and whatnot, most of them are either full of themselves and racist. They're not willing to play nice as they're trying to find these freedom riders that had been. Some of them been murdered and some of them hadn't. So they're still trying to find those. They're in a town that's clearly of the South and hasn't accepted the fact that they lost the Civil War. So there's this whole other aspect that's going on beyond having to deal with the demon stuff that they do in the book. But I always, like I said, I always really enjoy it. I like monster hunting and monster fighting is a vibe that I always enjoy. The Call of Cthulhu kind of thing and whatnot. So at any rate, and the colors are cool. The colors are kind of, it's like they pick a color and they ride with that color and just do variations of it unless they need to set some other tone. I really enjoy that in comics. Just really fun, really cool. Like I said, Green's artwork, he is distinctly his thing, whether he's doing hero for hire type stuff, Luke Cage, or whether he's doing his own work. Great articles in the back if you like reading Black Matter, Back Matter. The back matter in the back of this is all it has to do with basically African American issues, whether that be having to do with writing and horror and what we're talking about here, or if it has to do with bigger things. In this volume, most of them have to do seemingly more with bigger things, outside of the horror dressing itself, which I think is cool. I think it's cool if they give space to talk about that stuff and read that stuff. I don't know who all reads this book, but I most certainly enjoy it. And as long as they keep putting them out, I'm going to keep reading them because they're all fun. They're all cool. They're all interesting to see what goes on. It's got a lot of cool and interesting stuff going. You'll Do Bad Things, issue number 3. This is by the other half of What's the Furthest Place from Here. This is Tyler Boss. I'm not going to hammer the artist's name, or I'm going to try to. Terlucci? Sure. So this story is about a writer who, like New York Times bestseller, famous writer who wrote a book about a true crime, and he ended up solving the crime. He ended up solving the crime, and so he's super famous for that. He hasn't written another book in like 10 years. There's massive pressure on him from his publicist to get something else written. He doesn't want to write another one of those because he feels bad. He feels um, kind of like he's a leech or that sort of thing, that he's profiting off of somebody else's bad fortune, kind of a thing. So he's trying to figure out how to write something else. He's insisting that he's going to write a romance novel, is what he is going to do. That way he's not profiting off of anybody else's misfortunes. The mother of the victim of who he wrote about, I believe she is going on tours and doing like selling T-shirts and stuff around the whole thing, trying to earn some money. And so there's this whole he doesn't want to profit on that, and here's somebody else that is profiting on it. We'll see where that part goes, if anywhere at this point, because there's some dramatic stuff that's happened. So he's struggling to write. He starts writing a romance novel, and he tries a couple times. They show the novel in here, we're seeing what he's writing, and it always goes sideways. It becomes something diabolical. This murderer, this zipper-faced geek or whatever you call him, this guy shows up and butchers people in his stories, and it seems that his stories are somewhat attached to reality. He's writing what he's writing is happening when it goes bad, or is he just tuning into the bad? We don't know that. So in some ways, this is an idea we've seen before. I mean, heck, back in the mid 80s, when there was, I think, a TV show called Amazing Stories. There was I remember it was like the Twilight Zone. One of the stories of the guys, writing and it's real. What he writes becomes reality, sort of thing. So that idea to me isn't a novel concept, but I really am enjoying the way it's delivered here. That part is interesting, and like I said, is it his compulsion to write? Is it the compulsion to write horrible things, or is he tuning into what is happening? And in this issue, we actually he goes back and looks at his original book, and we kind of get the lowdown of what happened to the little girl that was murdered that makes him the famous writer. I enjoy the art, the coloring. It delivers really well. But yeah, then we get this zipper-faced dude who comes and murders everybody, depending on what's going on. So it looks like he's going to team up with a dominatrix lady that he kind of met and hit it off with, as far as just talking about things. So she's not happy about that because he keeps interrupting her doing her work. But we'll see where it goes. Each issue has been more enjoyable than the last issue. The first issue, when I read it, I was like, okay, this isn't. I mean, I've seen this a lot of times, so I don't know, but I really starting to hook me, and be interesting, and looks really cool and stuff. So yeah, both those guys, Tyler Boss and Rosenberg, clearly have some great ideas together and apart. I think they kind of went when these books first came out. They went on a mini book tour around the place. Of course, I live in the middle of comic book desert. They certainly didn't come anywhere near me. It would be a 6-hour drive one way just to have seen them, but they were out there and about pushing the book for good reason. It was enjoyable. Then we get to Green Arrow issue number 24. We finish up. Do we finish up? We finish up the freshwater, still water. Can't remember what kind of water it was. This arc of these people seeking revenge for having been told they could live someplace that ends up being industrially polluted, and then it makes everybody sick and whatnot. We kind of come to a close on that arc here in this issue. I think that Condon writes a great Green Arrow. Is, as far as him fighting the man and those aspects, taking on that social commentary that's around around the 1% and the 99%. I enjoyed that. Montos's artwork inside I continue to enjoy. He has some great visual angles of how he delivers some stuff. So yeah, and it feels like he sets up some characters in this for Green Arrow to interact with in the future. We get a chili scene in here, which is, I don't know, it seems to be kind of a relatively famous Ollie sort of a thing. How do we make the chili, and how much of this is in there or whatnot? So he has chili with the family, which is cool. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's nice to enjoy a Green Arrow book, and just have fun with it. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next arc is going to be. I don't know how long these guys are around, but creators are around doing the book. But I figure I'll hang with them if the next arc is anything like this one. Because like I said, Green Arrow used to be my favorite superhero character. Probably still is. He's just gone through a lot of not great stuff recently. So fun to have him back reading a book that I can enjoy. So next up, we have The Flash, issue number 21, part 2 of the Bad Moon Rising story arc, Marching Across the Moon. I keep talking about it, and I'll probably keep talking about it. Cy Spear is writing a really interesting story. I enjoy it. In this issue, Barry shows up to talk to Wally about this whole army of divisions of himself that he has made to fight this grind. And it's literally like a World War I scene where they blow the whistle, guys charge out of the trench and basically get shot down, gassed, nuked, whatever happens to them, and basically nobody survives to get to their goal, the top of the hill, sort of thing, in this battle for the moon. In this issue, a guy does make it, sees it, and then gets rescued and pulled back out to give us some more information about what is going on. So we get to see, in this issue, the Eclipso part of it. I love Eclipso. Eclipso is one of my favorite villains. The guy is just wild, and I love all the different aspects of him. And in this, his plot basically is he is basically creating vents for engines to push the moon, so the moon will be in constant orbit, so it always eclipses the Earth, so the Earth will be in constant darkness. And if he so chooses to, maybe he'll occasionally give people just a glimpse of light and then move it back. That's his intent. He's got one vent. He needs 3 vents to make this thing happen. He has enlisted, the Rogues Gallery is there, and they're battling on the moon with the multi-Flashes that have been split. And the Flash is losing that battle as a whole. It seems pretty hopeless. It feels like World War I. Like I said, send the troops to their death, knowing full well that nobody's going to make it back, but that's what you do, sort of thing. Back to what I was going to say about the fact what I've been saying about every issue is the art in the book, whereas it's fine, bright, happy-go-lucky art for another comic, but the seriousness of this does not match the artwork. The artwork does not have the tone for the level of pain and dire consequences that are in the book. You said the person's a great comic book artist as far as delivering the page how it needs to be delivered and conveying everything, so I understand what's going on. There's never been a panel I look at and go, what's going on here. Oh, those tangents are bad, or any of the mechanics about comics that sometimes I can see or complain about if I chose to. They're not there, but it's not their style. Their style does not match the story that's here. And I find that unfortunate because I'm really enjoying The Flash and intrigued by it otherwise. It just, I have to like put on my own dark filters to try and imagine the book being deeper and heavier than what it is here, because the art doesn't deliver what the story is delivering. Another horror book. This is Mommy Blog. This is a one shot. I don't even remember ordering this, but I don't know what struck me as maybe it was a solicitation at the time. So this is put out by Image Comics. It's actually also under. I didn't realize that these guys had gotten together and decided to make their own. Because Image has a lot of the different stuff like the Shadow Line or whatever it is. Image Comics allows creators to have their own company folded into their comics. And Ninth Circle is this conglomerate, I don't know, a group of creators that have gotten together. So Ninth Circle LLC, Margaret Bennett, Garth Ennis, Adam Glass, Joe Pruitt, and Ram V are founding partners. So they are their own, I guess they have a Facebook page. Ninth Circle ENT. Instagram also, same thing. And a Yahoo email address. So inside of Image Comics or whatever. So this is done by Margaret Bennett, is written. Eleonora Carlini is the artist, and Holt Silva is the colorist on it. Joe Martin is doing the letters. And it is about, well, it starts out with a mom doing a blog. I love the story. I love the art too. So mom is a bit unhinged. She is the second wife of some important business guy. She's putting on all these airs to be this perfect mom. One of the airs, I mean, she's just doing what she needs to do to be the perfect mom and to fit in with all the other mom stereotypes that are out there. And in the process, she's also, people who offend her family, she butchers or whatever. It's very, very, it's got a lot of sarcasm in it and very cynical look at stuff. But with kind of a tongue-in-cheek with the horror. Got these, 5 or 6, six mom archetypes, and that she wants to fit in. Well, she's one of them, down over here. She wants to fit in with them. And it's some funny stuff, but it's basically her slowly working her way into being part of this community. She ferrets out actual really bad people. Some of those really bad people, she just takes care of herself. There she is on the cover with a electric, carving knife. And she deals with some of the people who are terrible. And then in the process of dealing with these terrible people, she does it in a way that sets her up to be, one of the super mommies. Basically. And I don't say super mommies as in powered, but just this iconic of the perfect mom sort of a thing. She works herself into that. And it is a lot of fun for a one shot, extra thick, extra big book. I'm sure it's at least twice the length of a regular comic book. It was fun, and I would read more of this character, of what she does next, because at the end of it, it's kind of left where she's kind of reaching her apex, but there is a detective, female detective, who is kind of about the whole thing. And she knows it. She knows that detective isn't totally sold on the perfect Astrid. Assorted is an aspiring social media supermommy, keeping tabs on her glamorous gated community after the disappearance of several neighborhood children. Certain a predator is afoot, so she turns all of her cunning, creativity, sugar, and spice to catch the killer. And if her rivals for Mommy of the Year get caught in the path of the chainsaw, well, you have to break a few eggs to make a cruelty-free omelet, don't you? So yeah, I said, surprise book, like, oh, don't remember this, and but thoroughly enjoyed it. Next up, we have the final issue of the Howl, issue number 5. I'll say right off the bat, there's no back matter in this that has to do with the writer's grandmother and mother. This is okay. It ended okay, whatever. I'm still more intrigued by the real people that this was based on. I would love to see a comic based on them, closer to them, closer to reality, versus the alien mushrooms coming and invading the place. And we successfully beat them back for now anyway. It had a very sci-fi end to it in a way. And it was fine. It was enjoyable, but I found myself, like I said, becoming way more intrigued with the creator and the creator's family that this was based on. That interests me a whole bunch. So that's what I spent my time thinking about as I was reading it, as opposed to really being engrossed in the book itself. Mr. Terrific, Year 1, Issue 1. I just thought, you know what? Sometimes these Year 1 things are, we kind of wore them into the ground, the Batman stuff and whatnot. But I thought, well, I'll check this out. I like Mr. Terrific. We'll see where it goes. I'm was reading the Challenges of the Unknown, and I'm not a big fan of necessarily of him in that. His character's a little more interesting, but not used much in the beginning of this new Flash run. So let's see what this is. And so it basically has a little bit of talks about the dark side stuff at the very beginning of this book to kind of set up. He has noticed some energy, and he has to go back to the beginning to go and check out this energy, how it's connected in some way or another. So that leads us to him going back to his original home, his origin. And so then we're getting basically to see his origin story in this. And I'm enjoying it so far. I like the art for the main story, because there's 2 artists in it. There's this artist that does the current stuff that kind of sets up what happened with Darkseid to get us into the, get you caught up if you didn't know, which I didn't read the event, so I don't 100% know what's going on with that, but they give me enough of that. And then we drop into his life pre Mr. Terrific. It's after the death of his wife and child. He basically doesn't leave his home. He has a friend that kind of is trying to push him to do something great, to get back out there. It's not what his wife wanted. You find out that who he sold Holt Industry to, that it used to be his company, who he sold it to, is potentially doing something bad. Their experiments, the stuff they're doing, is polluting and making the community potentially sick. And his friend thinks he should do something about it, and he kind of blows him off. And then feels guilty about it. And then we have some break-in type stuff on it. But I really dig this this art at the end of it. It is DeLandro is doing the art, and Melissa Louise is doing the coloring on it. And I like the kind of thicker, heavier lined look to it and stuff. It was interesting. I'm curious to see where it goes. There's more trauma in it, because that's what makes superheroes, right? Is trauma. Not just, well, you do the right thing, with like the exception of maybe Superman and Wonder Woman. It seems like most superheroes, it's trauma that gets them where they're at. So, can't remember how many issues It's probably 4 or 5 would be my guess. So we'll check it out. Check out this story about Mr. Terrific because I like the character and see where it goes. Yeah, one of the heavy comics that I was talking about. This is Assorted Crisis Event. I absolutely love this comic. The basic concept of it is it's an anthology book done by the same creators every issue, and it's basically multidimensional, has to do with lots of dimensions. Most times it has to do with more than one dimensions, and these dimensions are kind of slipping and crashing into each other across whatever is going on. I mean, the cover there is kind of a prime example. Here's the same people from one dimension and the same people from another dimension, and clearly the two are not great. That seems to be the first 2 issues. The stories are kind of were set on Earth, and stuff is sleeping in and out. So you can literally walk down the street and see knights on one corner, and then see spacemen on the next corner, and then Shakespeare's wives, over in the next corner, kind of thing, all kind of mixed together and just trying to figure out how to exist. Written by Camp. He's writing some really, really great stuff right now. He wrote 20th Century Men. I really dug that a whole bunch in that. Has been really good. The art is by Eric Zawalski. I guess he did like House of L, which I did not read. And of course, it's got Jody Belair doing the colors on it. This issue has to do with two. It has to do with 2 towns called Hearth, and every page is a split page, or every other page is a split page of the 2 that you see the 2 things that are the same, the different about them. This guy right here, this hobo-ish looking guy with a beard and has some sort of a sign warning you about something. He has a jetpack on his back. He has goggles. He is in every issue somewhere in the background. I don't know if he's just bearing witness to everything, whatever. So this issue, this story has to do with these 2 towns. One is basically Hearth 1, and the other one is Hearth 2. Hearth 1 is here, basically. Climate change is coming. Things are getting harder, but they're a good small little town that takes care of itself and takes care of its neighbors, because that's its motto. Yada yada. Hearth 2, everything is at the end. The town is basically a giant crater. Everything is on fire. They decide to run. Everything's burnt up. People die all the way along the way. And they basically run for a very long time and back in the same town and go through one of these doors. And this door takes them to Hearth 1, where they attempt to cohabitate with, in lots of cases, they're themselves, because these are mirror places of each other. Everything's exactly the same, except for some life experience where Hearth 2 has this horrific stuff. I felt this one hard to read. It just took a long time for me to read it. I don't know. The book, I believe, has more pages in it than normal. I could be wrong. It sure feels like it. I didn't actually count the pages. But it was a rough read because it kind of has, for me anyway, commentary on how people treat people, how humanity treats humanity when things start to get a little rough. How we treat each other. There's some commentary, I believe, in here about those other people, sort of thing, and what that does to us when we start looking at other people as not being equal or not being the same, sort of a thing, and where that leads. I mean, the final page of the thing basically is pretty poignant. Some of the kids get it, kind of thing. The adults are trapped in their adult world. of us or them sort of a deal. But I think the last pages do deliver, I think, the message that they wanted to deliver in this. Is this book message heavy? This issue, I feel like, is more so than some of the others, but I think they all have something to say. If it didn't, would it be an interesting comic? I don't know if it would if it didn't have something to say. That's the cool thing about these books and whatnot. I absolutely love this type of anthology. It's intriguing because it's kind of like Ice Cream Man, and you can do just a lot of different stuff. I mean, Ice Cream Man definitely has its own note. It is surprising at times, but doesn't vary largely on it's this specific type of horror type of comic. This one seems a little more open to what kind of we're going to have, but it's still human condition stories set in this wild ability. I mean, the first issue has to do with this girl who's kind of lost everybody, but she has this anti-clock that ends up breaking in the process, or trying to get that fixed and dealing with stuff. A second issue has to do with a guy and some trauma. He works in a meat packing factory with his father, and just kind of his life and really interesting human condition sort of stuff. And that's certainly what this was, is a human condition type story. Really like this. Very cool. Very something different to read, and very thought-provoking, at least for me this issue. This issue, like I said, it took a lot to get through this issue. It felt like a lot because it's pretty heavy and deals of heavy and traumatic type stuff. And just thinking about what would that be like to have another me around to live with or to deal with that has vastly different experiences than me, but is me in all intents and purposes. And can I see that? Can I see that they're basically me having experienced this other stuff? Or does that other Travis quickly become a them and an other, and should be treated differently because of that? The other heavy book, I didn't know as I put these together like this. This book, Department of Truth, issue number 30. Things I like about the book. This issue basically restates the mission statement of what is going on in the book. We have spent a lot of time here recently just telling these wild kind of stories about stuff that we marginally take for granted, and kind of imply that it may be the Department of Truth was behind it. That Marilyn Monroe is actually a figment of our imagination. She was never actually a real thing until they kind of willed her into some level of existence, and then willed her out of existence, when she died. But in this issue, it basically restates the mission statement that Cole and Ruby are wanting to take the Department of Truth in a different direction, and use it for good, hopefully. And it's implied that Cole can possibly do that because the Lady in Red has visited him. The Lady in Red seems to only visit the people who have the ability to actually truly affect a change that might be for something. Either she helps, she observes, or she just does it in certain cases, like pulling the trigger on the magic bullet. So some lines are firmly drawn beyond just the Black Hats, because the Black Hats are still there. Cole's not part of the Black Hats, really kind of using that to kind of mess with the Department of Truth to some degree, and to mess with Lee Harvey Oswald, to let him know that things should change or are changing and whatnot. The conversation in this with Oswald is really cool too, really interesting. Gives us some more background of where the Department of Truth has been, where it's at, and unfortunately by the end of it, where it's going potentially. I hated the end of this. The end of this bugs me to no end. And my first thought that came to mind was, we've stepped into something that makes the whole book feel dishonest. And I don't know that dishonest is the word that I want to use. And it's not like I'm not legitimately mad at anybody. I'm not like, oh, we're gonna go get, James Tinian, lynch him or something. No, I'm now scared I will not enjoy the book because of where Oswald goes to the end of this. It's tied too close to reality, and for me, and there are moments in the Department of Truth anyway that kind of raise my hackles because we're living in a world where too many people don't believe in real science, don't believe in facts, that facts no longer matter. It's just whatever. You just say something enough times and it's the truth, whether it has to be backed by anything or not, which has also been one of the interesting aspects of the Department of Truth, because that's kind of what it's been about, getting the zeitgeist of the larger world to believe something, and that's what becomes reality and clear, cool. But now we're flirting with real world. And whereas that's one of the cool things about comics is it is commentary on pop culture. It's commentary on whatever's going on and whatnot. I just don't see how you get away from the landmine that you've set yourself into with this. Oswald is losing power and he's trying to figure out how to get that. He comments on the fact that, well, he doesn't have the money, he doesn't have the backing. And the last time that they had that kind of backing was back in the Nixon era, and they took it all away because of the terrible stuff that Nixon wanted to do with it was pretty sinister. So now he's reaching out to somebody who, depending on what your opinion of politics are in the current administration, it's way worse. So I don't know. There's certain things that I don't know how. It's like writing a superhero comic. There are just places you can't put Superman, or you can't write it in. I don't know how you not disingenuously put those people. How did they? I mean, if you put them in the real world in some really horrible stuff, if they were superheroes, would the Holocaust have happened? That sort of thing. I just don't, I don't know. I have a hard time. That's one of the things around superheroes I have a really hard time with. And this isn't superheroes, but it's still, mythic in what's going on in it. And, I don't know. I'm having a hard time, and I'm probably not talking about it really well. Don't get me wrong. Gonna keep reading it. I'm interested to see what happens. I'm interested to see how they do this. But from the get-go of issue 1 of Department of Truth, when I first started reading it, I'm like, oh man, this is really cool. But I can see this going some places that are gonna be uncomfortable, and not uncomfortable. And no, I'm happy to read, watch, listen to stuff that makes me uncomfortable. But so uncomfortable isn't the right word. But just that. I hope it does not touch too close to the actual now in using actual people. As long as it all stays, and they didn't name the person at the back of it, but I don't know, it's pretty clear. As long as, they don't name names and attach it to something specific, because then I don't know what you do. Because we're not at the end of it. If we're at the end of this, whatever's going on right now, a little easier to write whatever you want to. But I feel like when we, the people, are living it, I don't know. And maybe I'm not talking about that well. Have lots of feelings about it. And I've been mumbling about it for more than 2 days now, to myself. And I still don't completely, I'm interested, but I also feel like we're venturing someplace that's, just make me angry, I guess. I don't know. Lack of anything else to call it. Another awesome book. Holy cows. The Power Fantasy issue number 9. This issue is so good. We got the stuff going on. The superpower giving birth to potentially another superpower, which is going to possibly throw the balance of everything off in this. You got the concerns around that. That seems to be the main concern. And then kind of they're walking this tightrope of a couple other superpowers that could just, well, one of them at one point annihilated pretty much all of Europe is gone in the Summer of Love. So, and then we get this moment of truth to a character that we have been told is like super fragile, and if she loses her shit or that sort of stuff, basically a giant kaijin comes up and just freaking wrecks everything, and there's no controlling that kaijin or her until she calms back down. So heaven knows how much damage will be done to millions of people. Otherwise, she gets told a hard truth by someone she loves, and that doesn't. I mean, they're all like in a panic. Oh my God, this is gonna be it, because we've been building up for many issues. This is gonna be it. It's gonna be, a nuclear equivalent disaster. And oh hey, it seems to be okay. She accepted it. Oh, this is terrible. But she's accepted it, which is novel. And I don't think it's kind of implied in here that our massive telepath didn't tweak anybody's anything to keep it settled. So that's really cool. Really, yeah. And then like the next page, there's this other reveal that could set off probably the most dangerous person in the world. And she's bringing hell with her. So I'm just like, oh, that's a heavy reveal. That's really cool. So curious to see what happens next. Great book. I think Kieran Gillen is just a smart writer. He's just he has his style. And I guess if you don't like his style, you don't like his style. I like it. I think he's a smart writer. He writes some good twists and turns. He writes some really great characters. He feels very much like a now person, and I much enjoy that. Lots of times comics have a yesterday feel to them, especially like superheroes. But all of his stuff never feels that way, and I super enjoy that. And Casper just always does great art. Just thoroughly enjoyable. He manages emotions and stuff like that really well. I mean, there's pages in here where the pages look basically the same. I mean, it's just panel for panel of people talking, and they're like looking at something. But if you actually look at the panel, you can see people's eyes go, the next panel. So stuff's happening. You just pay attention. Just cool stuff. Great stuff. Excellent book. Another book I'm just super enjoying. Absolute Martian Manhunter. It is all about Javier Rodriguez's art, right? Look at that Martian. I love this version, this Absolute Martian Manhunter version, where he basically is stuck in John's head. And John's exposure to everything, how he absorbs people's emotions, reads their minds, and all of that is just wild. The Manhunter himself is still a alien, doesn't have a complete grasp of language to talk to John to where it makes sense lots of times. John is just being hammered with emotions, and they come across lots of times as tastes and smells and all of this stuff, and just the visual of it is just super, super cool. In this issue, tons of people are lighting homeless people on fire all at the exact same time. We don't know what's going on. Our Manhunter keeps telling him, there's a little white butterfly, that it's the White Martian, and the White Martian, this is attack plan, whatever it is. He'll tell him. And of course, as he's going around, he reads people's thoughts while they're having a conversation, so he knows who hates him, who thinks he's weird. It's just really super cool. So they're slowly working at hunting down some white Martian potentially. We'll see. And then he has to deal with what's going on at home. his son seems to be like autistic or whatever, and his son can tap into. He's tapped into the fact that the Martian's there. He's made clay figures of the Martian. But yeah, just really, really digging it, and it's been a cool comic, been a smart comic all the way along. And like I said, I love this big giant version of Martian Manhunter. It's just really cool, really, really fun, really great stuff. I have talked way too much. I can see my timer tells me I'm coming up on an hour, so we'll make this quick. Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 8, I mean. Back with, new story starts here, back with Sherman on art. That interim stuff was fantastic. Kelly Thompson just seems to have an excellent vision of what she wants to do with Wonder Woman. I'm really digging Wonder Woman because this Wonder Woman is more mythical, because a lot of her power, she uses spells and stuff. I mean, in this, she kind of creates a Hall of Justice for herself out of magic spells, which is awesome. We get some implication of some new bad guys going forward, still attached to the old story because somebody recorded parts of the sound of the Tekriak screech, and they're using it as a weapon. There's a new character in here called Dr. Poison. I'm not placing Dr. Poison. Is Dr. Poison somebody that I should know from Wonder Woman's past or the DC's past? Or is it truly a brand new character? Interested either way. Curious to see how, like, the Edda and some of those people play in the new story and whatnot. So she has this group of people around her, normal humans. But yeah, still just in Sherman art, just actually gorgeous. This is peak Wonder Woman look now for me. The longer nose, the bright blue eyes. Yeah, just always a pleasure to read this book when it comes out. But the new character that's in this, I don't know, Dr. Poison, clearly a villain, right? But is dangling some stuff in front of instead of Wonder Woman, that Wonder Woman's going to have to figure out how to deal with. I also like this Wonder Woman because this Wonder Woman gets angry, and that's fun too. But yeah, just great stuff. Thanks for watching. If you watched, hopefully I'll be back on the regular of this. My books seem to have kind of calmed down on when they're coming. So hopefully I get them read in a reasonable time, and I'll be talking and maybe not talking for an hour. Thank you much, and catch you next time, whenever that is.